This is a handsome, I guess, 1960s house, maybe even 1960. But it uses a number of building elements which are, I suppose, typical of the 50s and 60s, but are now deteriorating. So in particular, let's get a bit closer. Mostly fairly standard stuff. 280mm brick face cavity walls, trussed rafter roof with a tile covering, solid concrete floor, timber first floor, but some interesting bits and pieces too. Looks like a face, doesn't it? I'm being chased around by a police helicopter at the moment. I don't know why, or why they're after me, but you won't go away, so sorry about the noise. What we've got is lots of steel reinforced reconstituted stone elements. I don't know how many of them are steel reinforced. I mean, that little window there, would you need steel reinforcement in those concrete blocks? I suspect not, but elsewhere there's evidently lots of it. I mean, this is fairly typical. So we've got a lintel there, and there is lots of fracturing through the lintel. So you can imagine there's a steel bar through there, adding reinforcement, and it's rusting. As steel rusts, it expands, and as it expands, it breaks up the concrete part. It's not the police, it's the army. Disappeared. And there's another one, both on the front elevation. And here's the back of the house, and what was I looking at earlier? I can't find it now. Oh, there we go. Same materials, different building element. If you look at the windowsill there, you can see some fairly severe cracking through that. So that'll again be rusting to steel reinforcement. And then lastly, I don't know how well you can see that chimney, but there is an oversailing course, a protective concrete cap to the top of the chimney, and that's broken off there as well for very probably exactly the same reason. This is the other chimney, but same problem, so you can see much of the concrete edge has come away from that. What's it called? A concrete cap, oversailing course. It's probably both those things, but anyway, it's breaking up as the steel reinforcement's rusting. This is a mullion. Mullion's a vertical bit of a window frame, very approximately. This is the inside, and it's breaking up a little bit inside. And if you go all the way outside, I can't really lean out the window and film at the same time. That's what I'm supposed to be filming. It's a bit rusty there too, so it's another element that's deteriorating due to corroding steel reinforcement. And there's a nice gable wall designed to reflect the local vernacular style, so the wall's brick and what would be natural stone in the old cottages. We've got reconstituted stone here, and it's looking a bit the worse for wear in places. So we've got a lot of bits of lost mortar there, so needs raking and repointing. And down the bottom we've got a nice big fat mineral felt damp proof course there, located 2 brick courses above ground level, just as it should be, except once we get round to the corner, this little garden wall's been built up and over the damp proof course, so that will be inviting damp penetration problems, so we'll go and have a look for that when we get inside. So here we've got, I hate people who start sentences with so, completely unnecessary. Here we've got a typical 1960s trussed rafter roof, which is exactly the same as a modern trussed rafter roof, minus any wind bracing. So there you've got your rafters, those are the rafters, and they're supported on the struts, which come down onto the ceiling joists, and then we've got these things called hangers up here, which are pulling the ceilings up and pinning the roof down so it doesn't blow away in a storm. But there's nothing fixing the roof together sideways, and also there's nothing No metal straps fixing the trusses to the gable walls, so we've got weaker gable walls and a weaker trussed rafter roof, and the whole thing is at greater risk of being toppled by storm condition winds. Something which almost, but not quite, never happens. This insulating material is known as cosy felt, so it is an ordinary mineral felt underlay, but with about 50mm, perhaps not even that, of insulation glued to it. So it would have created a warm roof, and I'm pretty sure when the house was built there would have been no insulation over the ceilings. So that would have been the insulation, which would have been as close to useless as you can get. There are some weird wildlife orientated features in this house which I don't really understand. But down here, at this end of the roof, we've got... Are we focusing on that? We've got lots and lots of droppings. So I think when you get an accumulation of droppings like this in one area, it's because bats are roosting up above, up there, and shitting down here. Also, if you get very close to them, I mean, you can't really get very close to them with this, can you? I don't know. I can see little sparkly bits in the droppings. They're a bit random shaped. The sparkly stuff, I think, is bits of insect wing. So I think this has been a bat roost. But the other thing that's most odd is this mess they've made of the insulation. I'm assuming they've made it. There's lots of bits of insulation down there. And if you go up here, this stuff's called cosy felt, if I haven't said that already. It's very ragged, and it's full of little sort of pockets and holes, as if they've been yanking it around and find somewhere nice and cosy to sleep. I think that's what's been going on. I mean, do bats do that kind of thing? I know bugger all about bats, but I think that's what's been going on. It makes sense to me anyway. It's a right mess at this end and not anywhere else. There's a little hole they've created through the underlay there. Anyway, moving on from bats, what we've also got up here is, are you going to focus this time? There, we've got two little bundles of insects, what are they called? Ladybirds, hibernating. Over here, again, I don't really know what's going on. We're in the middle of the roof, approximately. Does that help? Not really. But we've got loads of sort of insect-orientated dust sitting on top of the insulation. I mean, what's that? Is that because bats chop the wings off their insects before they eat them? I don't know. Very strange. There's a lot of it as well. It's all over the place. It's almost as if somebody's brought a bag of decomposed insects and just shaken them all over the roof space. Most odd. And here we've got a pile of stuff which appears to include a mixture of droppings and insect wings, which does suggest that somehow or other the bats are able to chew the wings off the insects before they eat them. No bats above at the moment though. This is another feature of a 1960s house. These are metal single glazed windows, often referred to as Crittall windows. Crittall being the name of a manufacturer, probably the main manufacturer, and they're still in business making very expensive bespoke double glazed windows if you want them. But obviously most people like to choose PVCU double glazing. More about the windows later. Here are our windows. At the front of the house they've been replaced with PVCU, but the interesting feature is that the windows are set directly into or onto these reconstituted stone window sections. So that is a single piece of masonry. There it is, about the depth of a hand. So there'll be a lot of cold bridging here, because you've got a nice, well, I say nice warm wall, a cavity wall down there, and then a piece of stone which is connected to the outside. And I reckon the reason it's all kind of black is it will be prone to condensation, especially during the winter, and there'll be a load of mould growing on that, hence changing its colour to black. So it might have been a good idea doing this in the 1960s when people were happy living in freezing cold houses, but now it's going to be a major contrast in temperature between this and a nice warm centrally heated environment or roof space insulation that we tend to create today. So condensation is the inevitable consequence. Cold bridging it's called. Condensation forms on the cold bit. This house is probably end of the 1960s. It's a 3-bedroom semi. It's physically fine for what it is, but I think modern living conditions have caught up with it, and it hasn't been upgraded appropriately to cope with them. This is the living room at the back of the house. Down here we've got these kind of smudgy grey streaky marks on the skirting board and on the bottom of the wall. Bit more of it there, and over here we've just got a sort of atmosphere of greyness and smudginess. And here's one of the bedrooms. We've got this corner here, and again it's got sort of black smudgy stuff, and down here as well. So it seems to be that anywhere there's anything for mould to grow on, it will do. And I think the problem is one of condensation. I mean, it's not dreadful, but everywhere you get a little bit of dust accumulating on your skirting boards and mould grows on it. All over there as well, look. So I think the problem, I reckon, is that it's not insulated particularly. We've got cavity walls without any insulation, and the front elevation over here, can't squeeze past my ladders, is very thin indeed. So it's not a cavity wall at all, it's just a single blockwork skin. I mean, that's all glazing there, and there's a plastic panel behind that board there, and the rest of it's tiled. So insulation's very poor in that respect. And here's the roof void, and when there is any insulation, it's minimal, and for a lot of it there isn't any insulation at all anyway. So this house will be cold. Lots of cold surfaces, and all the moisture that gets created with 21st century living, and that's going to be people taking lots of showers, and I mean, I suppose people always did cook, but they didn't take lots of showers in the old days. There's nowhere for the moisture to go. So if you've got lots of moisture laden warm air meeting cold surfaces, which in this house is going to be the external walls and the first floor ceilings and everything else probably, there's going to be condensation. So I think it could do with a massive improvement in insulation to help solve that problem. No ventilation from kitchens and bathrooms yet either. While we're here, what we've also got is an old style trussed rafter roof. So the trusses are exactly the same as you get in a modern house, but what it's lacking is wind bracing. I mean, there is one brace over those hangers, but nothing else. Another house would, a new house rather, would have wind bracing across the rafters, across the struts, and more across the ceiling joists, which appear to be partially absent in this house too. So the risk with this place is that in one of the autumn storms, the whole roof frame is going to topple over sideways and take the gable walls with it. In actual fact, this almost never happens, but it's newsworthy when it does. And the other thing that's missing is metal straps. So there's the outside gable wall over there, so the roof frame should be fixed to that to add rigidity to the wall and to the roof, so the wall might be pulled away by the wind as well. Once again, almost certainly won't happen, but that's the theoretical risk. What you can see down there is the bottom edge of the underlay. Now that should, I don't know whether it's going to play ball and focus, that should extend out of the roof and into the gutter, so that any rainwater running down the top side of the underlay will spill out of the roof, and now that's become weathered and ragged and it's receded into the roof, so it'll be now any rainwater will be tipped by the underlay into the interior of the roof space. I think that's probably going to go on top of the soffit down there, which by now is probably plastic anyway, but that's the typical deterioration to the edge of an old underlay. And there around the boiler flue it's absolutely knackered, so unless there's a very good flashing around the boiler flue, which I haven't looked for, we'll have the same problem with water being tipped into the roof space there. This all supposes that there is any wind-blown rain penetration,